Micro Stakes Challenge. Bangarang. Are you ready? I precisely have $100 in 3 different accounts. We're going to play on 3 different poker sites and try to turn $100 in each account into $300, playing nothing but about $3 or less tournaments for right now. This is the ultimate micro stakes challenge that I've been excited to buckle myself down and work on. As you can see, I get kind of a rough start. I miss some hands. I'm like on the way to like the gym. I'm multitasking. I'm playing on my phone, and I kind of lose internet, which is like a total bust, and then having trouble getting back on. Um, as much as you're like, why is this in the video? Well, this shit happens, right? To me, often, So when you're playing on your phone and you're on the go, expect losses at a higher percent. But let's see if we can rally back. So look at this. I mean, I get back in the tournament and I got 400 chips. But remember, Bangarang, I am Mr. Tournament Specialist, short stack specialist, and if anyone can come back from a short stack, I would put my money on myself. All right. So, it's upsetting. Yeah. Hey, look at this. Picked up Kings, 300 chips. But let's go ahead and throw it in. Really no options right here. I mean, he's forced to call with garbage. And interesting spot. It does come ace high. He hits his 4. So for some reason, if we were battling with more chips, that'd be a peculiar situation. This guy goes 800 on 1 and 2. And even though I only have 700 chips, I elect to fold, and rightfully so, most likely. Although, at the end of this, you look back, and if you lost, that would definitely be a spot where you'd say, okay, well, I lost anyways. I should have played that spot. A 3 high flush. Am I going to bet this? Am I going to get action from anything? He does hit an 8 on the river, but he probably won't even call a single bet. Nor do I really want to put that single bet in. And imagine if he raised. Just not a good spot. So Kings right here. Fortunately, I was trying to figure out how much I wanted to raise pre-flop, and then this guy makes it so big that I already know he's so pot committed that I can go all in, and he's forced to call. And of course, he was representing a good hand. He had queens, and he got coolered by my kings. And that happens. I decide to shove with the king 4 suited, and 5-4 calls me, and sure enough, I have him dominated, and I double up. Getting back in this game. Ace queen against the guy that I just took out with the queens. I already know I have the best hand, but I'm going to lose to him. And I have him dominated with an ace queen versus queen 8 suited. And I'm like, I know I'm going to lose just because I feel like it's not poker, it's online poker. And I think anyone that knows what I'm saying. And sure enough, he makes the bottom end of the straight that I can't make, so he wins, which is all good. But, if you told me that I was shocked, I would tell you I saw it coming before I saw the hands. King Queen suited against the double bet. I just go ahead and call it, and I go for a check raise, which shuts it down real fast. Which I'm okay with, 900 in the pot, practically doubling my stack almost. That's a good result for me. I would hate for me to check, call his bet, and then check. Now he got 2 cards for the price of his own initial bet, I think that's one way to get sucked out on, is it really worth it? What are you really going to get action with, unless he wants to bluff at it again. Outside of that, he's either going to hit or you're not going to get anything else. Moving forward. As you can see, chip stacks are looking much healthier. I decided to fold the deuces. I decided to fold those sixes. The sixes were questionable. He did show something like ace king, so it was a flip. These deuces were no good. So good thing I lost nothing. I got a couple limpers, early position under the gun, and I decided to just shove it in, pop shove its baby. And I get the result I'm looking for, which is just all of them shutting down, which is fine by me. If you look at the pot, I'm taking 900 uncontested. I think that's a fine result. Ironically, ace jack's offsuit right after that, and to me that's an instant fold trap hand. 150-300. I'm down to 1290, about to pay about 600, and I decide I really don't have a choice but to play this pair, and unfortunately ace king suited just bangs me out of this tournament like so hard. Would I go back and do that again? I think so. It's hard to pick up a pair, and blinds are big, and I'm short stack, so I think I have to take the chance. Interesting enough, I pick up an ace king against a double bet and then a shove, and for me, my intuition was like, okay, I got the cooler end of a situation, and sure enough, I'm up against nines, which look like still ace six hits a mid pair, which isn't good enough until dun 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 the river, where he makes two pair. So I'm like, oh, I hit my ace. Wait a second, he made two pair, and that guy with nines was still ahead until the river. Either way, I would have lost. Lost, or I guess I would have made money off the nines if any more money would have went in. Either way, I feel like it was a net loss. Here's a huge mistake. I double it with 9-10 suited, and as soon as player 4 starts thinking about it, I'm like, I wish I could take back that move. You make it before you think about it. But dude, and here we go, compounding the mistake. Now I'm short stack. Now I'm feeling compelled when it folds around to me to hope that my queen high is strong enough to beat the big blind's hand, and it's not. And his king nine holds up strong, and sure enough, I'm looking back thinking, okay, where the hell did I go wrong in this tournament, because it was going so well. Unfortunately, that 9-10 suited, wasting 400 in chips. And then, maybe I wouldn't have lost another 1,000 in chips on that queen 5. You take away those two hands, that's 1,500 in chips that I would still have moving on into the tournament late in that game. I end up starting a new game number 3, and I pick up ace king. I make it 75. I make it 150 on top. I make it 300. That devastating third heart comes out, which also completes the straight. I'm thinking, man, how much can I really call? I decide to check. Fortunately, he checks, and I scoop the pot. But if he would bet, I don't know how much I can call off at that point, without feeling like I'm beat, which is a crummy situation. So fortunately, I didn't have to go through that. But I really wouldn't want to call anything more than 300, to be honest with you. I probably wouldn't want to call anything. But that's how it turned out this time. I pick up jacks. Interesting enough, I double it. I get one caller. I lead out. He raises me. I quickly re-raise him the minimum because I want to find out where I'm at. And to my surprise, he ends up folding, which makes me feel good about my play. Now, I would have reassessed. Look, that looks like a dangerous card. 3 diamonds, we're looking at a straight draw. We're looking at a flush, draw out there. So I would have reassessed after that. But I definitely don't like just giving up or calling at that point. I really want to see, I want to define the hand. If he would have re-raised me, if he would have put in that next bet, I would have shut down. Interesting enough. I hit 2 pair just by checking, and I don't slow play that. I fast play that, and I play it hard. And it gets through. 3 other players decide to shut down on my pot size bet, roughly. King 6 suited, I decided to just limp. And I'm thinking like the worst, although I'm just thinking if I lead out, what can I really get paid off on? Maybe this is more of a defensive hand or just something that I can get rid of. Sure enough, it checks down. I take it, small pot, but nonetheless, just played it soft. And you have the choice to do that. You don't always have to feel like you you have to put in. You could have a nice defensive range. Now this guy's thinking, okay, this guy flopped two pair. He's just checking down. I might have to, cautiously play against, his checks not so weak as it may be. Pocket kings. I decided to just go one and a half. 150 just seems a little high. 100 seems a little low. So I kind of like this mid bet, and also I'm not getting so committed where something like this happens and I can get off of it. At this point, I'm just thinking, I'm done with the hand. What can I really get action from that I'm beating? And look at this guy. He bets out 500 pot size, which is ridiculously big. Which is fine. But, it's hard to imagine that he would have anything less than an ace in that spot. So I just shut it down. Ace queen, I believe I missed. Keep in mind, I'm actively doing something else, like exercising, which is great because now I don't feel like guilty about playing poker. Not like I do, but at least I'm multitasking. But when you do, keep in mind, you might miss out on a couple hands. Pocket fours against a limp, I'm all in just because I want to take it down pre-flop, and I would probably do something like that with ace king. And I got something better than ace king, technically. And this guy calls me with 10-4 suited, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna lose to this garbage, and I couldn't believe it, but I didn't. And now I really think, wow, people are so stuck on suited hands that the guy's gonna limp call it off with 10-4 suited. Like, of course my four should hold up. I'm in a great spot. I just could not believe I got that action, that he really was that sticky and wouldn't shut down. But guess what? Bolstered my stack up to 2,500, and my reward, boom, I get some aces right after. Once again, I go 1.5 over, and I lead out. Kind of downsize it to 150. Think about it, pre-flop I made it 250. I lead out for 150, and he shuts down, which is a fine result. Ace jack suited against a double bet, and I say no thanks. And then interesting enough, right after I pick up a queen 10 and I say thanks. And unfortunately, I, get not the best flop. And unfortunately, the guy puts out a bet, and that's enough to get me to fold out. I shove with this next ace jack because it's a different situation and I'm even more short stacked. I really don't have a choice. I limp in with the 10 jack off. I take it pre-flop with that ace jack, which is what I'm hoping for. I end up going on kind of a rush, and I pick up this ace queen. I accidentally made it 700, although I intended on going all in. Not much of a difference. Pick up a straight with this 10 jack. I get no action, which is fine. I get the pot pre-flop with ace queen, which is totally fine. I pick up another ace queen. I'm on fire. A double bet, a different situation. Once again, this calls for me to reshove, and I like the move, and I would make that again. And taking a pre-flop is a fine result. Here with the 10s, I really don't like soft playing. Imagine if I double it, triple it, somewhere in between, get called, have an overcard, I check, he bets, I end up having to be in a peculiar situation and end up having to dump it or lose more chips. I'd rather just take it pre-flop and increase my chip stack by 500-600 uncontested. And sure enough, I pick up an ace jack in position on the button, and it folds around to me. You shouldn't make that fold, technically. You're not supposed to, and for me, it's my choice. I can make that fold if I want. I don't have to play ace jack, and that's defying online poker right there. And it feels good and saying, I just came up on a rush. I personally don't really like that hand. I don't have to play it at this point, and so I won't. And so I didn't. I like my stack, and we continue. I end up folding pocket deuces on the cutoff, and sure enough, action breaks out between king queen and pocket tens. Pocket tens hold up still would have knocked me out as well. King queen 10 suited under the gun, I think, is a strong enough hand to bring it in. I I think raising, I've been punished for limping, so I just think doubling it is more important. I get action from the big blind. He checks over. To me, this is a continuation bet and a good one, so because he ends up folding and we break the turn. So we end up taking that with queen high, which is an awesome result. Right here, 150, 300. I have 1500, queen nine suited, not the best hand, but it, looks good. And so I put it all in, and sure enough, we get them to fold. Aces again. So getting them to fold when I have queen nine suited, I love that result. There's too much in there to not really play in that situation. Aces, I make it 500 on 1 and 2. He folds. Pocket nines, key hand right here. He puts me all in, and I'm thinking, okay, well, he's either got a bigger pair or overs. But I would rather have the pair than the overs, even though this is diamond club, which I personally think is mostly trap hands, or hard to play hands. It holds up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't realize that I made a straight, not like I needed it. But that was a huge come up right here, and as you can see, that breaks him out and into us being four-handed with one super short stack, which actually folds on my double bet on my Kojak. I'm all for co-op play at this point, but I'm not going to soft play it, so this guy gets a free flop. He ends up picking up aces, keeping alive. It's an extra not even 100. I'm going to go ahead and co-op with this guy. His king jack, which doesn't even hit, beats us both. And then, sure enough, it continues around, and he has to battle. He gets sucked out on, and victorious we are with our first win, which is great. So, unfortunately, the first two games didn't go so well, but I was also having internet and logging back in issues. And ended up having a couple of real nice comebacks. One of the tournaments, I got up to like $3,000. I thought I was gonna win. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. But that's the nice thing is when you're micro staking and your bankroll can afford it, you can lose a few games. Here we are. I make a move with that A7 you just saw suited on the button for 1.5 over, and it gets through, which is what I'm looking for. This guy limps because I didn't realize it. There's a guy next to him that has 200. I ended up making a straight. I min bet. He calls. I know he has an ace. I min bet again, and he calls. He ends up showing ace queen, and we all know the reason why he played that is because there's a guy with 200, which is fine. We're four-handed. I totally understand that. It just benefits me for this moment, which is great. So we're looking really good to win our next game, and sure enough, that guy's trying to survive, maybe wins a hand. I double it with a ace jack. I take it. I have a solid stack. So even a short stack, zero stack starts coming back. There's a guy super short next to him that I'm picking on. And we get, I thought we were going to play co-op. He ends up putting it in with ace queen for a bet. I fold the fives. Ace queen ends up making a straight, which it doesn't even need, and we win. Bang ring, 2 out of